Hello everyone, welcome to another Animation Friday. I apologize I had to delay this video. I unfortunately was pretty busy over this weekend, but I should be caught up by the end of today. So without further ado, let me address what I wanted to talk about for this particular Animation Friday. And that has to deal with the question of our visual, overtaking storytelling as far as through animation is concerned. And I think there is definitely a sort of yes and no to this to this question, because there seems to be a in its overall content as a film. And obviously there could be an argument that yes, timing that's as far as attention span is concerned. So I think something could be said as far as animation's length, but it seems to be that on the one hand, there is the storytelling that expanded over the years, but there also seems to be a way in which the stories have shifted to being a little bit lackluster. Like, for example, I think if you look at 90s Disney, their films, I think, are still significantly a lot stronger than they were, unfortunately, nowadays, because nowadays they kind of end up replicating a lot of what was presented within Disney's 90s films, except instead of in 2D, they're in 3D. And the stories are not as compelling, I think, for I think a variety of reasons. One being that the visuals are a lot more emphasized than necessarily what's going on behind them. For example, when you think of Frozen, you often think of the sequence where, Elsa's building the castle and whatnot, and how that visually looks really stunning. And the song within and of itself is supposed to add that extra magic. But it's nothing really necessarily having to do with the characters or the or exciting coming out as far as that area is concerned. And I think that's really something that remains true. Now, you could say that there's been a lot of innovation in the storytelling, because, you know, when animation started, obviously the storytelling isn't as complex as the storytelling of today, but I don't think it's progressed from today to where we had it maybe in the 90s. It seems to be on that same level, or maybe not even as close to even what the 90s produced as far as animation is concerned. So I think there is something to be said as far as that change. And I think a lot of it has to do with the demographics and how kids nowadays are really into the whole visualization of a story and not so much the meanings uh, or the real uh, essence behind the story, and more so interested in like the eye candy and what you can visually get out of animation. And it's not to say visuals are not important to animation. I mean, they are the cornerstone. But it seems like as a result of focusing more on visuals, animation has slid as far as trying to do anything innovative in the storytelling and character department. You know, it just seems a little lackluster in certain instances. It's not to say that it's all, and it's again, obviously there is sort of a yes or no answer to this question, at least in my opinion. But it's something that I've sort of noticed in how um, we've gone from being able to only do a limited amount of things to be able to do these extraordinary feats of visuals that we, excuse me, tend to focus on that more so than on trying to create um, some kind of story behind those visuals. Um, and again, it's definitely not to say that this is a universal trend, but it's sort of a trend that has been going on, I think, for some time, unfortunately. Um, I think it would be nice to see them putting in some more genuine effort into the story and behind what's sort of going on visually, um, and sort of balancing that together instead of trying to try to up the visuals and leave you with sort of an empty story. So again, I think there's something to say when it comes to that, and I think that there's definitely that trend that's sort of been a part of animation. But we'll see. I think there's definitely room for Disney and for other animated studios to try to uh, make that balance again. We'll see what happens with Moana, and we'll see whatever happens with DreamWorks and Pixar. Um, I mean, I've heard some good things, but it does seem that unfortunately there is still this kind of overall lack of innovating a story, and more so kind of either retelling a story or kind of um, using the story to create a more uh, a visual effect, um, and not again focus on what's behind the visuals. So I think that's really all I can say though about this topic. I'd be more than happy to hear what anybody else has to say. But yeah, I think that's really all I can say though for this particular video. But thank you so much for watching. Hope you all have a pleasant day, week, month, and year, and I hope to see you on the next video. Take care.